Chapter 11. A Fairy's Gift. Ferry felt peace wash over him as soon as he stepped into May's house for the first time. May's room was small but cozy, with a little bed covered in stuffed toys and soft pillows. Next to it was a wardrobe with mirrors on the doors. By the window, there was a table and chair made of walnut wood. Everything in the room was painted in light shades of blue. A jolly fire crackled in the fireplace, filling the air with the smell of pine trees. There was also a chest of drawers painted in the color of a summer sky, and May had painted pink roses on each drawer herself. Ferry sat onto the bed, carefully navigating through May's collection of toys to find a spot. They were doing their biology homework together, jotting down notes about their favorite tree. "Why did you choose the hawthorn?" May asked him all of a sudden. She gazed at him with her big hazel eyes, causing Ferry to feel flustered, as always. "I think I like it because it blooms on the first day of May. And May is my favorite month, you know. It's also called Maytree or Mayflower," he said, and the room seemed to shrink and grow warmer somehow. "How do you know all these things about plants and trees?" she asked. Ferry swallowed. He fussed in his seat. Yet he felt he could tell May anything. "I don't know, it's like a little voice whispering in my ear." May's eyes grew wider. "You mean, like a little man? In your head?" Ferry didn't answer. The last thing he wanted was May thinking he'd gone bonkers. "Why did you choose the hawthorn?" he asked instead. "Because they say it's a fairy tree," she said, as natural as can be. Ferry's jaw dropped. Before he could utter a word, the door swung open, and May's mother came in, carrying a tray of cookies and lemonade. She placed the tray on May's desk, but her smile faded when she looked at her daughter. "Sweetheart, how are you feeling?" she inquired, resting her hand on May's forehead. "Are you feeling too warm? Or perhaps too cold?" "I'm fine, Mum," May said with a sigh. "Then you should take a break from studying. I'm sure Ferry will agree," she added before leaving the room. "My parents are a bit overprotective," the girl said, forcing a smile. "I guess it's because I always seem to catch a cold, even when it's warm outside. It can be annoying sometimes, but I know they do it because they love me." "What are your parents like?" Ferry shrugged. "My mum can be like that too sometimes. But I know she means well. My dad can be really strict and he has high expectations of me. I do my best not to let him down, but it's hard." "How about your grandparents?" May asked, offering him a cookie. Ferry had never met his grandparents. He knew his father's parents were dead, and his mother's own parents hadn't spoken to her ever since she married his father. "I never met them," he said in a low voice. "It must be nice having grandparents." "I only knew my grandmother on my father's side," said May. "Dad doesn't talk too much about her. He's more of a quiet person anyway. He even gave me her letters to keep, unopened." "What was she like?" asked Ferry. "Her name was Myra," said May, smiling at the memory. "They named me after her, you know. She passed away a couple of years ago," she said, and the sparkle in her eyes faded away. "I miss her a lot." But the twinkle in her eyes soon reappeared. "She was the brightest person I've ever met. Even as she got older, she did so many amazing things, and she laughed a lot. Let me show you something," she said, jolting from her chair. She pulled out an old wooden box from the bottom drawer of the blue chest of drawers. Painted on the top was a picture of a little girl on a swing. Then she sat beside Ferry, causing his heart to skip a beat. When she opened the box, Ferry was greeted with a soft melody, like drops of music from a distant time. May took out a picture of her grandmother. She was as tall and thin as May's father. She was smiling. In one photo, she was riding a horse. In another, there were pyramids in the background. In a third, she was sitting in a field of poppies. "What did your grandmother do for a living?" asked Ferry. "She was an adventurer," said May with pride. "She had lots of jobs. She was a teacher, acrobat, explorer, archaeologist, she easily got bored, and she loved to travel. Whenever she visited places, she used to bring me amazing gifts, each with a great story. Even when she passed away, she was doing what she loved most, exploring some mysterious ruins, and she fell off a cliff. "I wish she was still here," she whispered. Ferry gazed at the woman in the photos. One picture, in particular, caught his eye. It was an older photo with a yellowish tint. In this picture, May's grandmother was young, and Ferry could recognize the same infectious smile she wore in every other picture. She was dressed in a long, white dress with delicate lace embroidery. A large hat obscured most of her face. But there was something else in that photograph. A tall silhouette. Unlike the young woman, the figure sitting next to her appeared blurry, surrounded by a white, milky mist. He couldn't make out the silhouette's face or the clothes it wore because of the surrounding light. Even May's grandmother seemed less captivating compared to the presence of that figure beside her. On the back of the photo, he could read, September 30th, 1911. "That's a picture my grandmother took at a fair," said May. "She told me a lot of wonderful things about that fair." Ferry couldn't tear his eyes away from the stranger beside May's grandmother. "Who's with her in the picture?" he asked. "Oh, it's a fairy," said May casually. Ferry almost choked on his cookie. "A fairy?" "Wait a second," said May, amused by his reaction. She rummaged through the same drawer, this time returning with a metal chocolate box. Its lid was beautifully decorated with a drawing of a dancing couple, albeit now faded and embraced by rust. May opened the box, revealing an assortment of colored glass beads, mother-of-pearl figurines, rusty coins from her grandmother's travels, miniature perfume bottles, porcelain dolls, and various other charming trinkets. Finally, she retrieved a silk handkerchief embroidered with the initials MF. Unfolding it, she revealed an old silver comb with a large blue stone nestled in the middle. A faint scent of lavender wafted through the air as she unfolded the handkerchief. "It's a gift from the fairy I told you about," she said, gently caressing the comb with her fingertips. "It's the most precious thing she left me, because it's magical, you know? But it's not for me." "What do you mean?" Ferry wondered. "My granny told me the fairy gave it to her so that she would give it to her granddaughter. The fairy knew my grandmother was to have a granddaughter. Some fairies can predict the future, you know?" Then she said something odd, something neither I nor my grandmother could understand. "What did she say?" asked Ferry, his heart racing. "She said, 'Tell your granddaughter to give this to the Moonlight Boy when the time shall come.'" Once again, Ferry's jaw dropped as he stared at the magical comb which he didn't dare to touch. "Do you believe in fairies, May?" he asked, looking into her eyes. May flustered. "I do, even though they say they live only in fairy tales. But then again, you don't have to see it to believe it." Ferry was just about to say he believed in fairies too when a scratch at the door caught his attention. May jolted from her seat. "Oh my! I forgot Harry outside." "Who's Harry?" "It's my rabbit," she said, opening the door. Through the half-open door came the strangest rabbit Ferry had ever seen. It had long, rabbit-like ears, but its elongated mouth resembled that of a wolf. Its eyes were red and piercing. And the most peculiar thing of all, it was walking on its back legs. "You've got one curious rabbit," said Ferry, his eyes fixed on the long-eared creature. "It's a hare actually," May explained, putting Harry in her lap and offering him a cookie. The creature grabbed the cookie with both paws. Then it started crunching it without caring. "Was it also a gift from your grandmother?" Ferry asked. "Oh no. Granny was long gone before we found Harry. He found us, actually. He was scratching at the door last summer, on a stormy night.